I've made a lifelong habit of being anxious about everything, and because of that, I've been looking for the remedy. This is just this total spam thought. Worry about this thing that you don't need to worry about. Screen your thoughts like you screen the calls on your phone.
How do we be happy?
The main ingredients of happiness are...
Curtis Childs, welcome to the TCCHE podcast.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
I'm so happy to see you here. I shouldn't say you're one of my favourites, but it's always...
We won't tell anyone.
We won't tell anyone. Always interesting. You come at things from such a different perspective, but for people who haven't yet come across you, your work, what you do, how would you describe who you are, what you do in a nutshell?
Sure. So I make videos. I've been making videos primarily on YouTube for like 15 years. If I had to summarize what it is I'm doing is I work with a team. I couldn't do it alone. But we're laying out what I would call a theory of everything. So this idea that how do you explain all of life? Is there a framework that not just the physical world, but then consciousness and spiritual experiences, and how do I be happy? Is there something that like explains all of that? And so that's what we've been trying to lay out with these 1,700 videos that we've made. And I didn't. People are probably like, this guy no way he discovered something like that. I didn't make it up. It started with a guy named Emanuel Swedenborg, who's this amazing, sort of the father of modern spirituality, I would call him. But we pulled from that, from other scholars, and we're trying to lay out, hopefully, some good things that will make your life better. The concepts have made my life way better, so I'm just trying to make those easy to understand and give them to people. That's
a big question. How do we be happy? Because for me, at the fundamental heart of it, I would say to people, look, happiness is more than the money, the cars, the fame, the this, because there are people who have all of those trappings who would still take their own life, for example, or do drink and drugs and all the rest of it. They're not happy in times of the psyche and soul. So in terms of your quest for what sounds like a little statement, how do we be happy? What can you share on that you have gleaned thus far?
That's a great point that you make. There's not just a few, but a lot of people that have everything you think you want. And you're right, it goes so far as to harm themselves. So it's got to be that it's something different. It's not that you can't be happy when you're rich and famous, but that's not enough on its own to guarantee that. So the advice I would give you is the main ingredients of happiness are humility and usefulness. So unless you have some sense of other people exist, I'm not the center of the universe, there's something bigger that wants to happen here, and that I don't really know where my life needs to go, where the world needs to go, that I can cooperate with it going well. Unless you have that looseness, go ahead, try to be happy. You're gonna go up and down. I'm gonna come into this podcast and I'm gonna say, well, I hope this podcast goes really great. I hope I come off as really smart and everyone loves me. And if it doesn't go exactly how I want, I'm gonna be upset afterwards. I'm not gonna be happy. So you got to have a little bit of humility there, and then usefulness. That doesn't sound like a very interesting thing, but what it means is there's a certain satisfaction that you can get when you know you're doing something that helps someone, and that there can be joy in that, right? And you kind of see that in your life as though that's just one kind of joy. There's all these other kinds. There's the joy of eminence and wealth and ego. And then you help people, that feel good. But that joy in doing something that matters for people, you can depend on that. And actually that can grow. It's like a little sprout in your mind that can grow into like a redwood tree. I've found that only when I'm humble and trying to be useful can I escape my own fears and negativity and actually have something that's like pretty much happiness. I mean, I haven't nailed it, but I think that's the best way to approach it.
Wonderful. And you said something interesting. And with some of the podcasts that we've done, we've gone in that sort of direction. I was talking about those crucible moments, like Jung would call it the dark night of the soul, if you think of it in terms of the archetypal journey. Has there been a dark night of the soul moment or time for you? And if so, how did you come out of that and come out the other side?
I have those all the time. I just had to have a Band-Aid on. I had to get this biopsied to see if it was, that thing, but it wasn't. But even then, I was just like, my daughter's 9. I'm going to leave. Even though everyone was like, even if it was, it's not that serious. Even if it was cancer, it was not that serious. But I was just like, my fears are just going crazy at me. That was just like a couple of weeks ago. And that felt like a dark night of the soul. So it was in that. Those moments are when you actually make spiritual progress. And that's only my most recent one. I have them every couple years. And why do you think I'm so interested in spiritual stuff? It's because you need, if you get thrown off of a boat, you're really interested in learning how to swim. And those moments when you don't really have control of what's going on, you're not like, hey, I'm doing awesome, I'm winning it, you're like barely holding on. That's when you make your spiritual progress. And I would say it's not even me. I think there's a greater force that you get close to then. And principles that sound like, oh yeah, you should be humble, you should be useful, great. That's fine when my life is going well. When you like are scared or you're hurting, you need that stuff. And that's when it becomes real for me. Even if I have to give a talk, like I'm at TCCHE, I'm going to give a talk, it's a little nerve-wracking because I want everyone to think I did a great job. I don't want to feel like I blew it. I didn't have a good enough talk, or I didn't practice enough. You cannot really avoid that unpleasantness before, unless you adopt this attitude of like, well, I hope that the divine will use me as is best for everyone. I hope that like there's something I'm meant to do here, and I hope I do it. And it may or may not be that I come off seeming like the coolest guy at this thing. It may be I just need to, there's one or two people that will get something they need out of it. I can just trust that there's a bigger plan and go with it. I mean, yeah, so I've made a lifelong habit of being anxious about everything. That's, again, why I think it's genetic. I see my daughter worrying about all these things. I'm like, oh man, she got that from me. Dude, like that passed on quick. And because of that, I've been looking for the remedy. What's the remedy to that? And I find that, humility and usefulness, trust that there's a bigger plan. That goes from theory to reality when you have the dark night of the soul. And that is not, nobody's going to avoid those. They're all going to look different for everybody. But everybody has them. It's just like you're not going to build muscle unless you tear the muscle. Same kind of principle. So it's never fun going through it, but you can, I think, anybody who's watching this can look back at their life and say, oh yeah, my best spiritual progress, which to me means like more empathy, more understanding, more altruism, that I came out a better person from those things. And there's tons of studies, I have that in my talk, there's tons of studies that show, for some reason, when you really fall apart, you come back better and stronger.
Oh, I love that. And actually, as a side note, for people who have been at the TCCHE, your daughter, we all recorded something for her 1 year. Do you remember?
Of course I do.
How did she react?
She loved it. It was like she like played it a little cool, but then she was like, that's great. And I hope I can do it at this one, because when I was leaving, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to go talk in front of these people. And I think for her, like, she doesn't really think it's a big deal either way. It's kind of abstract. But she was like, oh, yeah, they all said hi to me last time. And I was like, I'm going to try to do that again.
I think we could accommodate that. That would be so cool.
Well, because nobody will see this before the conference, so I'll give away what I want to do. So usefulness, right? So it sounds like a simple concept. Do something good for someone. You're always doing constructive things all the time. The way that it can become a pathway to happiness is if you do it and you're thinking about the right things when you do it. So the wrong things is you do something that's useful, but you're thinking about yourself and how you're going to look. I'm not saying that you won't accomplish those good things, but it's not going to make you any happier. If you're going to go build a hospital for kids who need it somewhere and you're just doing it for the press coverage, those kids are still going to get their hospital, but you're not going to change. You're not going to feel happier. But if you, even something little and simple, like I'm going to reply to this work email that I need to reply to, but I'm going to do it in a friendly way and I'm going to do it with the right information in it. If I just think about, I'm thinking about how that's going to make that person feel, and I'm thinking about how that's going to let them do their job. And then I think about the customer who receives the net output of that job. And then how that, whatever we're doing, if we're making duct tape in a factory, great. Then how does that next person use it? What does it do to improve their life? And how does that ultimately contribute to the happiness of the human race? That's usefulness. So what I want to try to do is like, okay, everyone, will you help me make this video? But let's think about how it's going to make her happy when she sees it. That's like a spiritual thing. You can, anything in your life, you can add that spiritual practice into it. And I think it's really powerful.
Have you looked in the room yet?
No.
1,800 seats in
There's
there
a lot.
to 2,000. That's going to be a very cool video.
That's a lot.
All of us
man.
with that vibe and that energy. I'm looking forward to it.
That's exciting.
And you said your daughter's 9. So the 9-year-old Curtis Childs, did you have an idea of what you wanted to do in the world, or was it?
Oh, no, 100%. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a basketball player.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if you can tell at home on the camera that I'm not going to be a basketball player. I'm not 6 feet tall, even. So at the time, yeah, basketball player, then rock star. I didn't think I would be a guy that talks about spiritual things. After that, when I really started to get serious about things, I thought I was going to be a biologist, because I love nature and animals, and I want to like look at them and observe them and do conservation biology, and that was going to be my thing. But the way I talked about there's a bigger plan, I can really see, like, I didn't really strategize to get into the work that I'm doing here. That just kind of, it happened because I just got good at communicating, but also I just got more and more in need of the concepts. Yeah. So it just ended up that way. I'm really glad. It's really fun, and I hope that it's helpful. But I wouldn't have known when I was little. I never thought I would talk about spiritual or religious things for a living. Even when I started doing it, I was like, oh, I hope none of my friends from high school see that I'm doing this. They're going to think I turned weird. Or maybe they already thought I was weird. But now I'm very comfortable with it, and I'm very happy to have this be, oh yeah, this is the part of life I want to try to work on, because it's the one that people need help with. It's the one that I've needed help with. So I feel like it's the sort of meta problem that if you solve the problems of the heart and the mind, that will free everyone to solve all the other problems. So it feels like, let's go right at the source of the problem.
Wonderful. And you were the person actually who put Swedenborg on my radar, because I came to one of these conferences, the books were there, so what's this? And then you talked about his work. So for people who have not yet come across it, how would you summarize? Because some of that stuff was really quite out there.
That's right. It is quite out there. It's a funny combination. So Swedenborg, if anyone who hasn't heard of him, he is, I feel like, the first extensive meeting of modern science and spiritual experiences. So he was right when science was really kicking up. As it was mid 1700s, and they were, it was in its infancy compared to what it is now. But there were fields of study. There was, I think, the scientific method was pretty standardized. I don't know even, but they were learning things and they were categorizing things. And he was, he's a genius. He just was at the front of all these different fields. He was kind of a rock star, scientist, Renaissance man. And he was going along and trying to find what's the seat of the soul, or what's consciousness. And he was studying anatomy and chemistry and botany and inventing things. And then he started to have these, what we would now call near-death experiences or spiritual experiences. And so you see these two worlds like collide, like the rational and straightforward description of here's the bigger reality meets up with there's a lot out there. And it's weird, as in Swedenborg can travel to the afterlife at will. He can talk to people he knew who are dead. That's weird. Like, they can talk to this, I See Dead People. What is that movie still relevant? That's weird. And there's quite a lot of mind-bending stuff in there. But the advice, that the code of life that he prescribes after having seen all that, is just like so mundane. It's so mundane. It's just what I was saying. Be humble, be useful, don't do bad things, do good things. Here, there's things like a theory of consciousness and stuff in there that's out there, but it comes back to stuff that it is so obviously, self-evidently gonna help the human race. But I'm sold on the Swedenborg, because when I get in my dark nights of the soul, that's my friend. The way that he describes why we're in dark nights of the soul, what life is, where it's going, that is the only thing. Those ideas, when I'm in the thick of it, they comfort me. Like, that is what has my back more than anything else. So I've come to there's got to be something here. Like, there's got to be this is somehow like I'm meeting God through those ideas or something. Because when I need it, there's my friend.
Oh, I love that. And I know that you play music, because you brought your guitar a few times here as well.
Dabble, yeah.
So if we were looking at your playlist, is there anything unusual that will be on your musical playlist that we might not expect you to be listening to?
A lot of stuff without any words. Like I have a big old my liked playlist on Spotify. I'll sometimes just put on in the car, and my daughter's just like, "Can we skip this? I want one with words." But just so many are just like songs to work to. So it's just anything. I'll play through these endless instrumental playlists on Spotify, and anything that I'm like, this, I feel like a good groove is like I'm working right now, and I'll just hit the like on that. So I don't know the names of a lot of my main, like when Spotify tries to tell me, here's your top artists, I don't know who any of these people are, but that's kind of how I use music now. I mean, like when I was growing up, I was, alternative rock was like, oh, how did they do that? This is so cool. But these days, I'm a little more chilled out, so I'll do like folk. I like Bon Iver. He just came out with a new thing. But I'm generally, it's so easy to be into music now, because it used to be I had to be a connoisseur and like find these, not just like, any playlist will have all these amazing songs you never heard on, and I kind of like to surf through those. And this is the first and last time I heard this song, but I enjoyed it,
Oh, I love that, because I was thinking about, and I was speaking to the Hertites about it, my fill in the blank was life without music is, because I just couldn't imagine the world without music in it. For me, it does something to us that many other things cannot sort of reach.
It gives you confidence, too, if you're listening to something upbeat, like I was in the airport on the way here, and it just like gives you confidence, snaps you into a certain frame of mind. It's amazing tool. I think it's part of why I used to want to do it. When I was that age, everybody wanted to be a musician because that was the coolest thing you could be. I do think it's changed a little bit now. Like you were saying, there's before we started rolling, a little bit of that mystique that used to be for musicians has sort of spread out, because now you have podcasters and YouTubers and streamers and video games, and some of that stuff has come to share it. When I was a kid, it was like, even like peak TV now is cool in a way that it wasn't. So now I do think that there's a lot of other mediums to work in, but you are drawn to like, what's the most potent thing? So you want to try to do that thing. And initially when you're young, it's because you want everyone to think you're so great. But then as you get older, you start to feel like, well, I actually I want to make a difference, and like let's figure out how to solve the problems of life. So music, absolutely. There's very few more potent balms than music.
Absolutely. And I know you can't speak for Swedenborg. If he were looking at the current times that we find ourselves in as we sit here today with the division in the world, and it's coming from so many different angles at the moment. Yes, war has unfortunately been a constant, but they've even got people warring with their family and friends over do this, not this, wear this, not this.
So great. It's so fun. It's such a great time to be alive.
But see, I've said to people, I feel, of course, history is always being made, but I feel like right now in this moment in time, we know we're living history because there is so much going on. So what do you think Swedenborg would have made of all of this? And would he see the kind of division and faction and fighting as just par for the course? Or would he have a different take on that?
Oh, I think he'd be pretty optimistic about this. I mean, Swedenborg predicted that there was, so in the 1700s, he said that, look, there's a really great spiritual era on the horizon. He called it the new church. So he used a lot of words that we commonly use, but would fill them in with a ton more meaning than we generally assign to them. So the term church, he would use not just to signify a particular church building or even a religion, but he would talk about the churches as spiritual eras that humanity's gone through. He talked about like the most ancient church was not just a single religion, but sort of the suite of different religions and mindsets of a certain era of the past. And so he said you had what was the most ancient age, where there was a lot of innocence, and life was kind of like you think it should be, and spirituality was like you think it should be. Like there was not all this guessing and wondering. There was sort of like you could directly commune with God and heaven, but then people kind of pulled away from that, got more self-centered, more materialistic, more warlike, more domineering, and so we went down through these like Iron Ages and all these things. But he was thinking it's going to come back up. So the new church is what he called it, this new era for humanity, where there's like freedom of spiritual thought, and there's depth, where you understand that spirituality or religion is about life. And that's the essential of it. It's like, do you have principles that will lead you to do what's good and I'm not going to do what's evil. There's a million things that I want to do that's going to harm my neighbor in all these ways. I'm not going to do that. The humans, we can think more freely about that stuff than we ever could before. We can think more deeply. I don't think it's a bad time we're living in. I know I was joking about it, but I feel like I would. It seems like it's worse because there's a bunch of things now that we see as bad that before we're just like, nobody cares. We're just doing them. But now everyone's really aware of everything and everyone's really trying to be good in whatever way we can. Also, like, Swedenborg has this quote that evil can't be removed until it's seen. So there's things that got to bubble up to the surface. You got to face them. You got to be able to label them. You got to be able to find and understand the antidote to them and apply that antidote, and then you move past it. I think there's some of that bubbling up, but it always seems like, oh, this is the worst time. I was reading about even in like the United States of America, like people always say, oh, it's so divided right now politically. Yeah, maybe, more divided than, a couple decades ago. But if you go back like 100 years, way worse. So I think it's all a matter of perspective. But there's so much cool stuff going on right now, and the world is becoming so much more like the spiritual world, as Swedenborg described it. So he would talk about taking like a near-death experience where you go, I can see the afterlife, and this is how it is, and this is how the divine operates. There was no analog to that because he was talking about a world where there's no space and time. And he's talking about a world where there's like instant, thought brings presence and love brings union. You can go right. There was nothing like that. But now, that's what the internet is. Like right now, like we can jump on an airplane, but even quicker than that, you can just open your phone. And I was talking to my daughter and wife earlier today, just even though I'm hundreds of miles away from them. I think that there's something good happening in the world. It can be exhausting, but I think he would think we're on our way, and that's what I think too.
I love it. I love it. And there are so many different directions we could go in terms of conversation, but is there anything that we haven't touched on, that I haven't asked, that you think you'd really love people to know?
Everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right. And if everything you need to know, you can just look at the human form. So what I mean is, I may in my YouTube channel and talking sound like I have a bunch of different concepts that I'm adding complexity to life. But if you just look at the way the human body is, it's the map to how you should live and how people should live together. That might sound like, what are you talking about? So I'll explain. In the body, you have a bunch of stuff, different things, eyes and liver and pancreas and ribs, and it's very different. Looks different, but it is absolutely functioning as one, and it is totally cooperative and totally humble, and everything is based around the usefulness that it does. So any part of the body, I was saying, like my thumb, I had to get an operation done, so it's like it's hurt. Everything in the body is like, all right, let's send all the resources we need. What do you need? We're going to send these platelets, and we're going to do everything that we need to get that thing figured out. That's what the body does. The brain is not like, don't you know who I am? I'm the brain. Like you think brain is nothing without everything else. Everything is co-essential. It's nothing without everything else, and it will give everything that it has to everything else. If you're in the liver, you're sitting there, you're detoxing all day, and you do that, and you love doing that because you're doing it for everyone. So there's a common good in the body, which is like homeostasis or health or whatever you want to call it, and every cell benefits from that, and every cell gives back to that. And I think that's the map. If we act like that, then human race will do great.
I love that, and I love the analogy. Like, you've got the best slides ever, in terms of the animations you create. I could definitely see a great animation for that one. Like, do you know who I am? Yeah, and the other right. was like, yeah, what about me? So no, I love that.
It's like the brain is like, I'm the brain. I think, okay, let's take the skull away. That thing will just like on the floor. It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing without everything else. I think you slowly realize, I know I cut you off, but you slowly realize that you're nothing without everyone else. You're nothing without the divine. And that's good. It makes you happy.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And did it? I'm gonna guess the answer is yes, but I just love to know. Did it change you becoming a father?
Yeah. Now I'm much more worried about everything because I'm like, no, don't have that happen. No, you have certain things that are your most important things in life, and when I had my daughter, it takes a while to shake out, and it takes difficult times to make you realize it, because you can still go, like, you have moments right when you're you first become a father. And we had, this is TMI, we had some trouble conceiving that like a lot of people do. So it's like, we were so like, oh, we got her there. So you have some moments. I remember her being on the hospital bed next to me, like within the first day or two. And I was just laying there like, yes, wait, she's so cute. But then you like go on and you have your regular life and you still have your ego and your ambitions and things. But whenever I've received kind of a scare, it's just so crystal clear. Like that is what I care about. And so you do have this sort of new thing that you orbit around. And it makes you just think like, well, everybody's got people and things that it just loosens you up. It just makes you into a softie. It makes you like cry about things. I remember I used to like read her little baby books, and I would tear up at the end of them. And they're just like so corny, but I was like, oh man, I get it. That puppy does love its blanket because it was always there for him. I don't know how it happens. It's a miraculous transformation. I don't think that it's something that if you don't have kids you can't do. It's just about loving something outside yourself. My Swedenborg, my hero, never had kids, never married, but you just got to love something that's outside of yourself. I think that's the magic. And it's like everything goes how it needs to. I'm, the big plan has placed me in charge of being her dad as best as I can, and that's what matters. So even at this conference, and like there's a lot of fun things to do, but I'm just kind of like, I'll see you on Monday. I'll be back on Monday. I got to go do this thing, but I'm come back on Monday, and we're going to hang out,
Wonderful. And do you think, because I know we talked about music earlier, the rock star lifestyle was, or the actors and actresses, some of them, they were known for taking their children with them on the road.
Yes.
Do you think there's a time where, maybe you'll be speaking closer to home, where you might want her to come and see what you're doing in action?
Once I get really good at my act. No.
You're already really good at your act.
The problem is she's in school. My wife teaches preschool, so it's always hard to find a time when they can get up and around here. But we've been close a couple times, so I'm sure, especially as she's getting a little older, they'll come once I get my material real good. Then I'll be like, you guys want to come? No, I would. It's just too hectic, and then like you got to figure out get more plane tickets, and it's for a short little weekend. But we're close, so hopefully that'll be so fun. I'm lucky. My mom and dad are here.
Oh, good. Oh,
yeah.
They came. Oh,
they came
so
once last
lovely.
time. That was the first time. When I first started doing these, I didn't know anybody here. I didn't know you. I didn't know anybody. So it's so nice to now know people, and then even have some people that I know here. Because again, like, it's like cool that I get to be a speaker here. That's like it's cool. It's kind of prestigious, but like you love the people that you're close to, and it's like so great having them around. So understand that like there's big things you can do in life that seem fancy. Those are fine. They're not the key to happiness. The key, as far as I understand it, the key to happiness is like the little simple things and like trying to be good in those moments. This big stuff is more like frosting, in whatever form it comes.
And you make it sound like your parents are just hanging out in the audience. I don't think that's the case, because I remember your mum has a key role. That's
right. No, we're here to work. Like they're going to help, make sure that the events that we do work smoothly. Like there's a message we got to get out. So because you want to be useful, and that runs in the family.
But no, it was so really wonderful to see them last time. Your mum, does she still do videos? Sometimes, yeah. Which none of us used to. It's not like it ran in the family before, but then, social media is so great for spreading a message that it's like irresistible. Oh no, but it was really wonderful, because people are like, oh my God, your parents are here. And they're not just here, they support what you do. And that is absolutely amazing. So it's really beautiful to see. My dad is not like, why don't you get a real job? What are you doing? Talking about this woo-woo stuff. No, he loves it, supports it. And that's the thing, actually. There'll be many people, because you were talking about it earlier in terms of you saying you think your friends are going to be, oh my God, what are they going to think? I'm talking about this stuff. So for people who, the way I put it is, people are still in the spiritual closet, that they haven't yet come out about some of the things that they believe. They haven't allowed themselves to pursue the thing that they want to do. So for anyone who is still in the spiritual closet, what would you say to them? I think you want to know what the good is in what you believe. So instead of like leading with, well, I believe in all this stuff about this stuff, a regular person's gonna be like, what? If you talk about here's how what I believe makes me a good person. Here's how I want to live by it. Like that's really great.
And then at first you want to find people in your world that you can kind of have friends on the side, because you can't also like, you want to be able to tell people this is cool, I'm into it. Not everybody is going to be into the same thing that you are and in the same way. So, you want to find, like, there's certain people, even in my life, that I could just talk shop with forever. And there's other people, if I try to do that, I'm not going to get invites over anymore if I do that. So you got to find everyone's in a different place, and it'll click for different people at different times. I do find, especially with spirituality stuff, if there's somebody who doesn't like it or need it, you just wait till something hard happens to them. I mean, that's when it becomes real, and it's a phase of life thing too. Usually, as we cross the magical middle age, and you start to need it. You start to get curious and interested. So, it's hard because not everyone's going to be into everything that you're into. But the more that you can just understand why you're into it, and know that this is making me the kind of person that you would want to hang around more, whatever, because it makes me kinder, empathetic, more working on myself, then I think people will respect that. If you're really benefiting from it and living it, I think it's hard to not at least begrudgingly say, well, I mean, yeah, I don't know if I believe what you believe, but I would want you living next door to me,
Yeah. And in closing, I'm going to call it practical spirituality. With all of the wonderful things you've looked at and you do, I know you've broken them down and distilled them into some key principles. Is there something that maybe you have a practice that you use that people listening, people watching could put into practice in their own life that can start to take them another step closer to the happiness, the where they want to be, etc.?
Well, screen your thoughts like you screen the calls on your phone. I don't answer anyone that calls my phone, because everyone that calls is not a real person. It's some bot or it's some scammer. And so I don't pick it up because I don't even want to start that conversation. I don't even want them to know that this is a real phone number. You get a lot of that in your mind. You get a lot. You would not believe how much of it when you stop and examine. This is just this total spam thought. Worry about this thing that you don't need to worry about. Ruminate about this memory. Don't, just because it's in your brain, don't give it the come on in treatment. Just like, okay, on to the next. A lot of that stuff is false, and just don't be afraid to label that as false. And then there's this tool that I have from my grandfather, who I'm going to talk about this in my talk. But when he was dying, he couldn't talk anymore. He could just write. And this was before I was born. I never met him, but I was told this story and it was stuck with me. He couldn't, so he just write. And they were, my grandma was worried, and everyone was like, well, what's going to happen? Are you going to die? Are you going to die soon? What's going to happen? And he just wrote on his pad, I hope the Lord will use me as his best for everyone. And try that. Try to, when you go into a situation, instead of saying, I hope this turns out great for me, I hope that whatever you want, if the divine is going to use me as his best for everyone. Your fears don't know what to do with that. Your anxieties don't know what to do with that. Your jealousies and all those, they don't know, like, wait, aren't we playing this game where it's us against everyone? If you're using that, then you become invincible. So those are two quick ones. Like, hope Lord, like, I hope this goes. I hope I can contribute to the big plan through doing this. And thoughts come in. It's like, no soliciting. Don't waste my time.
I absolutely love that. What a beautiful way to close. Well, Curtis Charles, thank you so much for your time, for the expertise, the information that you shared. Absolute pleasure speaking to you today.
It was fun. Thanks for having me.